Members, if we get everybody to go ahead and sign in, please. Good morning, everybody. The House Government Operations Committee meeting for March the 16th of 2026 is here called to order. Clerk, if you would, open the board and take the roll, please. Everybody here that's here? Clerk, take the roll.
Mr. Chairman, you have 11 members present. You have a quorum.
Thank you very much. Going to try and start off here with just a little bit of housekeeping. Item number 9 today by Representative Scarborough. It's my understanding that we've got 4 people that are here to speak for the bill. If you guys want to speak individually, be glad to do that for you, but I'm going to limit you to each to 2 minutes. If you guys want to get together and talk with one another and see if you can come up with somebody to represent all 4 of you, then maybe we can give you a little bit more time and take that to 4 minutes if you can come up with one person to do that for us. Other than that, I'll let you guys talk about that. The people involved, if you guys, I don't know if you all know each other or not. Anthony Pudlow, Zach Hansen, Philip Dodd, and Jessica Baladod. If you guys want to track each other down and get together and have a little powwow over that, that would be great. All right, members, we are checked in, ready to go. I think the first item on our agenda is House Bill 2506 by Speaker Sexton. I believe Chairman Howe is going to be carrying that. You have a motion and a second, sir. When you are ready, we can go.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This bill, the goal is to protect the personal safety of state, local, and federal law enforcement officers who are involved in immigration enforcement. Officers enforcing immigration laws in this climate face increased risk of harassment, threats, targeted violence, as we have seen in several states, including Minnesota, California, Texas. They've been shot at. Molotov cocktails have been thrown at them. And so this bill has blanket coverage just across the state instead of a patchwork of laws from various cities. It just simply says that the names, home addresses, contact information, and other personal identifying details of federal, state, and local officers involved in illegal immigration enforcement shall remain confidential, as well as the specific details of immigration enforcement operations. And I would ask for a positive motion.
Thank you for that explanation. Members, do we have any questions for our sponsor? We have a question on, oh, I'm sorry. Leader Camper, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's so good to be in government operations. Representative Howe, you mentioned that we've seen some problems in other states. I'm hoping that I didn't hear you mention Tennessee having experienced any problems has there been any incidents here where we've experienced some problems?
You recognized.
We have had some protests, but fortunately and thankfully, we've not had any officers injured to my knowledge, but there
Okay.
have been protests against illegal immigration operations in the state of Tennessee.
Is Leader Camper?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, but none where you believe people's information have been compromised.
The potential is there because we do not have, I'm sorry,
No,
Mr.
you're
Chairman.
welcome. You're recognized.
The potential is there because we do not have blanket statewide coverage for this type of law. We do have certain laws with regard to undercover agents whose information cannot be released. There is punishment for that under existing law, and this just aligns with existing law in that regard.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank
Representative
you,
Fritz, you're recognized.
Representative Howell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for the bill. It's unfortunate that we have to do this, but I appreciate you bringing this bill. I think some of the strongest parts of it, and I'm sure some people are going to complain about the bill in general, but it says, just to read from your bill, it says, when the name is accompanied by contact information.
Yes.
I think it was taken very well to protect the person so that it's not a blanket immunity for anything. It's just to protect that person so that they're not harassed at their home. And so thank you again for carrying it.
Thank you.
All right, members, any further questions? Representative Crawford, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to check and get it on the record with Chairman Howe. This is being done in other states. This isn't the first. Is that correct?
You're recognized.
That is correct.
Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you, Chairman. Representative Glenn, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I'll agree with my colleague up there, Representative Fritz, that, it's unfortunate that this has to take place, that we have to, resort to hiding and covering faces and things like that. But my question is, if someone is violating someone's civil rights, someone's rights, how do we know who that is? How does that person get accounted for if we don't know who that is?
Representative Howell.
Well, this bill does nothing to remove accountability. And there have been cases in the past where people were found in violation of their oath or in violation of the law, and they are prosecuted accordingly. Does nothing to remove the court's ability to adjudicate those cases. So all this does is just say that it's going to remain public, going to remain private for those very narrow identifying information with regard to an ongoing operation.
Representative Glenn, any follow-up?
No, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you. Representative Clements.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So what if these ongoing operations never end?
You're recognized.
I can't speak to what ifs, Representative.
Well, that's a valid concern though, right? Because we're talking about, you're arguing this from a temporary standpoint, that's just going to remain confidential to protect the identity during the pendency of that and not prevent some sort of disclosure on the tail end. But right now, there's no end in sight for these types of operations that are taking place in my district, where effectively secret police are conducting these types of actions, which by all indications are unlawful and unconstitutional. Yet we don't know who the people are to be able to hold anybody accountable. Now, I see, some sort of intent in this and some argument for this, but to the extent there is no end date, or these could just be ongoing, continuous operations with no termination date, what's the opportunity for disclosure in that scenario to hold anyone accountable?
Chairman Howell.
Well, you could address your argument to many types of crimes. We have ongoing criminal activity nationwide and in the state of Tennessee as well. But transparency should not come at the expense of officer safety or the safety of their families. If there is ongoing assaults on officers, then they should be adjudicated. If there are situations where the release of their information and their personal identifying information, their home addresses, and puts their family at risk and their children at risk, then those should be adjudicated as well. And that's what this bill does.
All right, and I want to add to Representative Clemens, your terminology, secret police, is we just have come off of some pretty high level rhetoric, some pretty nasty rhetoric. The term secret police makes it sound like we are using some Gestapo tactics here, when in fact what we're doing is we are trying to protect these ICE agents that are looking to get the criminals off of your streets, in your subdivisions, in your neighborhoods, in our state, that the previous president of our country led into this country. So please, I ask, watch the rhetoric, sir.
That, Mr. Chairman, and I would ask that you do the same. And I didn't use that term. You did, the Gestapo term. I'm simply referring to people who are, and I'm not even arguing that we should release their personal information while the pendency of this of some action that has any merit is going on. What I'm asking about is an ongoing, without end conduct, which we all know that some of which has been unlawful. It's targeted at innocent people and unconstitutional. I mean, there are video showing this taking place in my district. So that's the reason. I don't know how else to describe these people than secret. They're masked, they're unnamed, and they're acting on whose authority we don't really know. So that's my concern. There has to be a limit and protection for the people of this state who are innocent. And to the extent we can't hold people accountable at the appropriate time, knowing information at the appropriate time, that is deeply concerning to me. That threatens all of our constitutional rights. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you for your comments. Chairman Crawford, you're recognized.
Move previous question.
Thanks, sir. Previous question's been called. Any objections? Seeing none, we're on the vote for a positive recommendation. Clerk, open board, please. Everybody voted? Mr. Clerk, take the vote, please.
Mr. Chairman, you have 10 ayes and 4 nays.
Thank you for that. And House Bill 2506 is on its way to calendar and rules. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Chairman. Committee.
Next up, item number 2, House Bill 2187 by Leader Lamberth. We have a motion and you have a second. You are ready, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. When legislation changed at the federal level last year, at the federal level, specifically the IRS code, it allows for individuals to allocate a portion of their federal tax dollars that they're already paying towards a public or private school. That's what the bill does, and it sets up that program here in the state of Tennessee. I would humbly ask for a positive recommendation.
Thank you for that. Chairman Faison, you're recognized. The question's been called. Do we have any objection? Seeing none. Seeing none. Members, we're ready to vote. If you would, please open the board, Mr. Clerk. And if everybody's voted, Mr. Clerk, go ahead and take the vote.
Mr. Chairman, you have 13 ayes and 0 nays.
Thank you for that. Moves out to calendar and rules.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee.
Next up, House Bill 2537 by Representative Hurt. Looks like we have Representative Cochran. Welcome back, sir.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, committee, for allowing me to stand in this morning. Representative Hurt is on his way. Just briefly, this is a little bit of a cleanup bill. This legislation allows our commissioner to extend an examination time frame for our state chartered banks and credit unions. Right now, that it's supposed to be done every 12 months. It can be extended to 18. This allows it to happen every 24 months based on each individual financial institution. So it just gives the commissioner a little bit more flexibility based on the facts of each financial institution. It doesn't hamstring him into just doing it on a yearly basis. He can do some up to 24 months.
Okay. Representative Fritz, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for the bill. Just one general question, sponsor, and it is good to see you today. Do we think that we lose any of the transparency that comes with the banking institutions by pushing that opportunity back from 1 year to 2 years?
You're recognized.
Thank you, Chairman, and thank you for the question. I think we would say that we do not, because it wouldn't push every institution to 24 months, but it does. It it makes the law not so prescriptive. It allows our commissioner to have a little bit more flexibility based on, when they're looking at how much risk a particular financial institution is undergoing. Yeah, I'm sure probably previous history on examinations, things like that. It just gives a little bit more flexibility. I don't think it would be the commissioner's intent or the department's intent to reduce transparency, just allowing a little bit more flexibility.
Thank you for that. Next up, Representative Parkinson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Sponsor. And I'm going to vote for the bill, but I do have a question. How is it going to be determined who gets the more relaxed review versus those individuals that are still stuck on this more stringent annual review annual review?
You recognize.
Thank you, Chairman, and appreciate that question. So I'll go through some of the factors that the commissioner can consider in determining that time frame. Some of those would be the quality, past quality of management, capitalization, risk profile, their internal control policies, the examination cycle imposed by applicable federal regulators. So that they can look at a number of factors like that. And again, kind of past behaviors and past policies to determine, are they able to maybe provide a little bit more flexibility on a particular institution.
Follow up?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Okay, that works. I got you.
All right, thank you for that. Members, any other questions? Seeing none. Looks like we're ready to vote. Mr. Clerk, we're voting for a positive recommendation. Anyone else need to vote? Mr. Clerk, please take the vote.
Mr. Chairman, you have 14 ayes and 0 nays.
All right, thank you for that. This bill moves on out to Calendar and Rules. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Chairman Committee.
Members, this next item is one that I'm running. I'll be taking it up out of order, so I'll pass the gavel over to Chairman Reedy.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members, item number 4, House Bill 2530. Got a motion and a second. Chairman Lafferty, you're recognized on your bill, sir.
I appreciate that, Mr. Chairman. Let's see, this bill allows bond as an alternative for audited financial statements to maintain consumer protection while creating an alternative option to lengthy, expensive audits. It will also add clarity by defining total cost for contracting projects to ensure they include labor, materials, and subcontracted work. For makeup artists, they will be exempted exempts those that solely practice as makeup artists from cosmetology licensure. That's easy to say. For real estate brokers, this will extend from 3 to 4 years, the time allowed for brokers to complete required education. It gives flexibility to licensees and streamlines internal processes. It allows brokers with a license expired more than a year another path to activate status outside of needing a waiver or retesting. It also adds convictions or guilty pleas of violent or sexual crimes to a list of grounds to take action against or not issue a license to further public safety. And it removes zoning requirements for locations of real estate firms. The amendment enhances some operational efficiencies for the department. It merges the Board of Land Surveyors with the Board of Architects and Engineers. This change will bring Tennessee in line with national norms and reduce administrative cost. It authorizes associate engineer members of the Board of Architects and Engineers to renew and approve applications to reduce licensing times. Presently, one full engineer member can approve applications. It will also merge the Board of Licensing Contractors Operational Fund with the Fund for Limited License Electricians and Limited License Plumbers. Both funds are utilized by the Board of Licensing Contractors with the licenses processed by the same executive director and staff. It adds electronic mail as an option for the department to provide notice to licensees for programs that currently require such notices sent by mail. And it removes a requirement for the MVC director to take an oath of office and to have a bond. Trying to streamline things. So with that, I would ask for passage.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate this great cleanup bill. Representative Parkinson, to you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I was going to call for the question. I feel like we've been Doc Ramsey'd in here, so.
No questions, no comment. I'll go to, okay. Representative Clemens.
Can you tell us the posture of this? Is 14960 traveling with the bill?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, thank you.
Any further questions? Question being called. Clerk, please open the board for the vote. Has everyone voted? Anyone wish to change your vote? Seeing none, clerk, please announce the vote.
Mr. Chairman, you have 11 ayes, 2 nays, and 1 present not voting.
Chairman Lafferty, House Bill 2530 moves out to Finance, Ways and Means. Without objection, members, let's go to item number 14 on the calendar, House Bill 1625, Tennessee Department of Education. Got a motion and a second. Chairman Lafferty, you're recognized on your bill, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This bill extends the Tennessee Department of Education to 2030. They had their sunset hearing on October 15th of 2025, where an audit was reviewed and this 4-year recommendation was given. There was only one confidential finding in the audit. We have representatives from the department here if members wish to go out of session and hear from them. Otherwise, I ask for your support.
Thank you, Chairman Lafferty. Does anyone on the committee wish to hear from the department? Seeing none, questions been called. Any objections? Seeing none, clerk, please open the board for the vote. Has everyone voted? Anyone wish to change your vote? Clerk, please call the vote.
Mr. Chairman, you have 12 ayes, 1 nay, and 1 present not voting.
With that, positive recommendation moves out the calendar and rules. Next, members, move up to item number 13, House Bill 1575. We got a motion and a second. Chairman Lafferty, you're recognized on House Bill 1575, sir.
Thank you, Chairman. Members, this bill extends the Department of Human Services to 2030. They had their sunset hearing December 16th of 2025, where an audit was reviewed and this 4-year recommendation was given. The audit contained 2 findings and 1 observation. We have representatives available if need be. Otherwise, I ask to renew my motion.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Any questions, comments for the chairman? Seeing none, clerk, let's go ahead and take the vote. Please open the board for the vote, please. Has everyone voted? Anyone wish, there we go, change your vote. Clerk, please call the vote.
Mr. Chairman, you have 14 ayes and 0 nays.
Bill moves out to calendar and rules. Chairman Lafferty, the gavel's yours.
Thank you very much. Just 1 second here.
2135 by Chairman Terry.
Item 5, House Bill 2135 by Chairman Terry. You have a motion and a second. You are recognized, sir.
Thank you, Chairman and Committee, and I do have a clarifying amendment, drafting code 014962.
All right, we have motion and a second on the amendment. All those in favor of adding the amendment to the bill indicate by saying aye. Aye. All right, you are properly amended, sir.
All right,
Oh, I'm sorry. Any opposed, say no. No, all right, my bad. We are properly amended. Chairman Terry, please.
Thank you, Chairman Committee. In 2024, our General Assembly created the Live Music and Performance Venue Fund for the purpose of providing grants to support live music venues, performers, and to preserve and promote Tennessee's live music industry. At the time, there were concerns about the lingering financial impacts of COVID on independent venues, their rising operating cost and increased consolidation in the concert industry that was putting pressure on the smaller venues that serve as our farm system for Tennessee's music economy. Since that time, property taxes have increased dramatically on many of these venues, placing even more strain on the small and independent stages that help launch the next generation of Tennessee's artists. Unfortunately, that very fund that was created to support them has not been funded. And so what we're simply doing here is trying to create a dedicated revenue source for that fund in a way similar to our hospital assessment. The revenue source would come from the sales price of music tickets sold on the secondary resale market. Right now, much of the money generated from the resale of Tennessee concert tickets flows to out-of-state companies, and this bill simply captures a small portion of that value and reinvests it back into the venues and performers that make Tennessee the music capital of the world. Importantly, this assessment is applied to the resale companies themselves. This is a market-based way to fund the program that the legislator has already created. I'd like your support.
Thank you for that explanation. Members, do we have any questions for our sponsor? Seeing none, looks like we're ready to vote. Mr. Clerk, open the vote, please. Everybody voted? Mr. Clerk, take the vote.
Mr. Chairman, you have 11 ayes, 1 nay, and 1 present not voting.
Thank you for that. And your bill will move on out to Finance. Thanks, sir.
Thank you, Chairman and Committee.
Next up, item number 6 on our agenda by Chairman Hawk, 2361. You're recognized, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members. House Bill 2361 sets up the Tennessee Precious Metal Fund. In terms of rules and rulemaking, the program works, the state will purchase bullion, which is already allowable under state law. The treasurer would contract with a qualified Tennessee processor to convert bullion into metal and or into coins and medallions. 90% of these revenues would remain in reserves, and up to 10% could be sold to the public. Sales revenue returns to the Precious Metal Fund. The $50 million remains in a state asset held by the treasurer. In future vision of this, I can see these positive incomes going toward different programs throughout the state of Tennessee. In a nutshell, for rulemaking, that's what it does, Mr. Chairman and members.
And thank you for that explanation. And members, my mistake here. We've got an amendment that needs to be added, it looks like. Chairman Hawk. Is this an amendment that you wanted to add to the bill?
Yes, it is. And forgive me, Chairman, this is my first committee with this. It is drafting code 014021. We've worked with the treasurer's office on this amendment. So
Yes,
thank you, sir.
That's what we have. All right, and we already have a motion on amendment. You have a second. All those in favor of adding the amendment indicate by saying aye. Any opposed? All right, and the amendment is on the bill. And thank you for that excellent explanation that we've already had. Any questions for our sponsor members? Representative Fritz, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for bringing this bill. I know this is something many Tennesseans have been looking at for a long time, so I appreciate you carrying it. Gives us an alternative perhaps in the future as currencies often are devalued through bad decisions at a federal level. So thank you for bringing this.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Any other questions? Seeing none, we're ready to vote. Mr. Clerk, would you open the board, please? Has everybody voted? Mr. Clerk, take the vote.
Mr. Chairman, you have 13 ayes and 1 nay.
Thank you for that. Moves out to finance.
Thank you, Chairman and members.
Next up today, item number 7, House Bill 2475 by Representative Alexander. You have a motion and a second. Representative, you are recognized when you're ready.
Thank you, Chairman, and thank you, Committee. What this bill, I have an amendment that I need to get on.
Yes, ma'am. What is that number you have there?
1 moment, sir. Going to turn the page right. Bear with me 1 second. 015653.
Yes, ma'am. That's what
Okay.
I'm showing.
Okay.
All right. Members, do I have motion on the amendment? And we're ready to vote. All those in favor of adding the amendment indicate by saying aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it. The amendment's on the bill. You're ready.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Committee. What this bill does is always in public schools, we have had criminal conviction database, sex offender registry, and DCS substantiation database. So when they hire someone in a public school system, they have to check these 3 databases out. What we weren't doing was doing it in private schools and in some of the other areas like the education department wanted it for ETSU's training schools because we want to make sure that the children are with people who are going to be safe. And so this just requires everyone to be on board with the same program.
Okay. Well, with that explanation, members, do we have any questions for our sponsor? Representative Renaud, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for bringing this bill. As you know, we had the situation in Chattanooga at a charter school. I am curious, do you know, in that particular most recent case, would that teacher have had something on record with DCS?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
That's the purpose of this bill.
Any other questions? Seeing none, we're ready to vote. Mr. Clerk, open the board. Oh, I'm sorry. My mistake. Chairman Crawford, you're recognized. Okay, there we go. Mr. Clerk, please open the board. Has everybody voted? All right. Mr. Clerk, take the vote, please.
Mr. Chairman, you have 14 ayes and 0 nays.
Thank you for that. And looks like you are headed out to finance.
Thank you.
Next up, we have item number 8 by Representative Davis, House Bill 2152. You have a motion and a second. You're recognized when you're ready.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, committee. And so the purpose of this legislation is in the event that the state agriculture commissioner and/or the state veterinarian order the destruction of an animal, that those farmers are compensated fairly for the destruction of that animal. And so for the purpose of this committee, it's establishing those rules and processes for that payment.
Thank you for that explanation. Members, do we have any questions for our sponsor? Just one.
Yes, sir.
I'm just curious, is there any kind of insurance now that's in place that covers these farmers? I'm just not familiar enough with the process.
So in terms of indemnity, a lot of times when the U.S. Department of Agriculture will order the destruction of animals, they will, there is monies that is sent through the Department of Agriculture that pays those farmers. Usually it's about 75% of the value of that animal. This is in case if there is, and almost always that's how it occurs. And so if there is any sort of insurance, that would be potentially up to that individual farmer, I guess, to have insurance on those animals.
Okay.
But this is solely at the discretion of the ag commissioner, if there are funds available, if they are solely the ones that have ordered the destruction of those animals, or the state vet has, like in the instance of a screwworm incident or something like that, which usually is like 1 or 2 animals.
Okay, thank
Does
you
that,
for
does
that.
that answer your question?
Yes, thank you. Chairman Crawford?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My question is, does this monies that you're talking about come out of the same bucket kind of deal for, like, if somebody's caught starving a cow, not giving it proper care, and the cow end up dying? Will the monies come from the same, I guess, program as what you're talking about for this?
You're recognized.
So the commissioner has the discretion not to provide any monies whatsoever. If there is some sort of fraudulent, they have the determination. So in case someone's starving an animal, that's animal cruelty, and that would be a criminal charge. So they would not reimburse in that instance. Does that make sense?
Yes.
All right. Members, any other questions? Chairman Clemens?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Are there any protections in here that don't require us to pay indemnity if for some reason the person is at fault for the spread of the disease, or they fail to take sufficient precautions as required?
You recognize.
So to answer that, it is up to the discretion of the Commissioner of Agriculture as to determine how, if they do pay any dollars. So if there is any sort of fraudulent activity to be seen, or that there's concern about anything that's being done irresponsibly or inappropriately, he has that discretion to determine whether or not to provide any funds, and or if they need, if they should require prosecution, then that should occur.
Follow up?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So, let's say somebody takes, is improperly burying hogs or spreading hog feces on another person's farm, and that causes the spread of disease. That's not necessarily fraudulent, it's just plain wrong. But is that person then going to be able to benefit from the Department of Agriculture's payments?
So let me just read directly from the bill, and maybe that'll help you. So if sufficient funds aren't available to pay the fair market value, they don't have to. They can authorize partial payment, or indemnification can be denied or reduced if the owner is found to be in violation. So that could be in violation of anything that they're doing that can be considered a wrong action by that agriculture commissioner. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Thank you very much.
All right. Seeing no other questions, we are ready to vote. Mr. Clerk, open the board, please. And has everybody voted? Mr. Clerk, take the vote.
Mr. Chairman, you have 14 ayes and 0 nays.
Thank you for that. And you are on your way to Finance, Ways and Means.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, committee.
Next up, item number 9, House Bill 1959 by Representative Scarborough. You have a motion, a second? And you are recognized, sir.
Good morning. Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, members. 1959 as amended is licensure and conflict of interest reform under Title 63 of the Pharmacy Practice Act. This bill does one core thing beginning January 1 of 28. The same corporate structure cannot control both the pharmacy and control the pharmacy benefit manager, a covered insurer in Tennessee. It separates financial control from patient care decision-making. General Assembly has already recognized in the findings that vertical consolidation creates conflicts of interest where the entities setting reimbursement rules cannot own the pharmacy being reimbursed. This bill does not regulate drug prices. It does not redesign the insurance. It does not eliminate mail order. It does not prohibit specialty pharmacy. It does not interfere with employer self-funded plans. It does not apply to TRICARE or other veteran programs. It does not apply to hospitals operating their own hospital pharmacies. It does establish a prospective licensure standard. If you want to hold a Tennessee pharmacy license, you cannot simultaneously own or control a PBM and a health insurance issuer. There's a delayed effective date. There's a structured divestiture window. It is narrow, it is prospective, and it's enforceable through civil penalties, not criminal. And it's about the structural integrity in our pharmacy marketplace. With that, I respectfully ask for your support, and I'll stand by for questions.
Thank you for that explanation. Representative Fritz, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for bringing this bill, sponsor. As you may know, we drafted something even a little harsher than that we didn't get to carry. Article 1, Section 22 of the Tennessee Constitution says perpetuities and monopolies are contrary to the genius of a free state and shall not be allowed. And in researching this topic, lots of independent pharmacists are under the control of a pharmacy benefit manager who is under the control of a vertically integrated, what appears to me to be a monopoly. So that the insurance company, the PBM, the pharmacy itself, and even the medical providers that provide the prescriptions are often integrated into the same link. And it sure looked like a monopoly to me. So I appreciate you bringing this bill. I think it is important for us to have access to health care. I think it's important for us to have access to local independent pharmacies as well, and not to allow the monopolies to force those independent businesses, those small independent businesses, out of business. So thank you for bringing this.
Thank you for that. Representative Mayberry, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate you bringing the bill today. I got a question I referenced before. I've had several constituents reach out to me about concerns about veterans. So if you could just explain a little bit more about that, about the amendment that was put on.
You're recognized.
Well, again, it's a federal program. Those are federal programs which we have no control over. And that exemption for the veterans supersedes anything we talked about with our PBM licensure bill. So we've carved out the veteran programs all the way out of the bill. But I appreciate the question. No, thank you.
Follow up. Okay. Members, any other questions? Leader Camper, you're recognized. Oh, yes. Yes, we will. If you'd like to, yes, we can do that. All right. I don't see any questions from our members just yet. So let's take this opportunity and call our friends up that came to speak. Did you all get together and come up with someone to speak? I'm sorry, I can't guess which name that was, but if you'd like to come on down. And we also have a Jeremy Thompson who has expressed a desire to share his opinions. Are you here, Jeremy? We may give him a minute, see if he shows up. All right, sir, thank you for coming down. We'll give you, since we've consolidated all these speakers into one, we'll give you 4 minutes to speak. If you don't need that much time, no need to use it all. Don't feel compelled. But if you would, tell us your name and who you're with and proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. My name is Zach Hansen. I'm here on behalf of RX Preferred, a transparent PBM headquartered here in Tennessee out in Mount Juliet. We're here, apologies.
Sorry, no, it's on me. We're going to go out of session. All right, please proceed.
We're here in support of this bill. As a PBM, as a transparent PBM, we've removed conflicts of interest from our model and really aligned back with what the original intent of a PBM was, and really aligned everything that we do with our plan sponsors, our clients, and their members. We've been in touch with the Tennessee Pharmacists Association and are also in support of what this bill means for independent pharmacies and really community pharmacies or non-PBM affiliated pharmacies. I think it offers a great level playing field and is a step forward in terms of building or rebuilding the trust in our healthcare system. Thank you.
Thank you for that quick explanation. Representative Parkinson, you're recognized, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I had a chance to hear this bill in insurance, and I think it would be helpful to explain the PBM structure to some of the members that have not had a chance to hear it, if you will.
You're recognized.
Both sides of it. if you will.
Sure, absolutely. So there are PBMs, namely the big three or big six that you might hear that are owned by an insurer, operate as a PBM, and then also own pharmacies and own provider networks. What happens in those instances is that they are responsible for the full life cycle of the claim. So think about if you were a member and you had to go to a specific provider, that provider then dictated which medication you could get, where it could get filled, how much it costs, and then how much not only you pay in terms of a copay if you're on a high deductible plan or whatnot, and then also what your employer is charged on their behalf. So that vertical integration has created a huge conflict of interest and, is what has contributed to rising healthcare costs. There's no accountability, there's no transparency in that model. And so they dictate the entire claim from start to finish. On the other side, as a transparent PBM, we're not affiliated with any insurers. We don't own any pharmacies. So there's a level playing field. We negotiate with pharmacies for reimbursement. And then the same amount that we pay the pharmacies, we charge our plan sponsors. So it is a complete pass-through operation. And really, without those conflicts of interest, we have the opportunity to be able to find the best healthcare costs for our clients, look for lower cost medications, and again, level the playing field for those local PBM or non-PBM affiliated pharmacies and independent pharmacies. Is that helpful?
Thank you for that explanation. Representative McKenzie, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And you talked about six. Are the six equal in terms of volume of a share of business, or is there one and then five or two and four? What's the mix of this?
You're recognized.
It's a great question. So the big three PBMs have about 80% of the market share. The remaining three have between, I'd say, 10 and 12%. So total is about 92.
Follow up?
So, but when you say the big three PBMs, are they all connected for the full life cycle, like say CVS, or are the other two different PBM models?
The other two I'm sorry.
You're fine. Go ahead.
The other two PBM models follow that same vertical integration.
Representative McKenzie.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I'm trying to find out how to best form this question in terms of share and not being accusatory, but I'm really just trying to get information. Is the ultimate intent to take the PBM business away from the from the vertical integration? And if so, because it's a bad model, what kind of savings will my constituents see in the next 3 years?
You're recognized.
Thank you for the question. So in terms of savings, when members and clients switch over to RX Preferred, because I can just speak for us, they average between 20 and 50% savings on their drug costs. That's purely through transparency and plan design because those conflicts of interest are not there. Now, I also want to mention that our clients also talk about our access to pharmacies. So as a national PBM, we contract with all pharmacies across the country. So it's 67,000 plus. We still work with the CVS's, the Walgreens, Kroger, Publix, all the independent pharmacies. So that access really, it's not something that gets removed by going to a transparent model. And I apologize, would you please repeat the first part of that question.
You recognized.
Well, yeah, so, and my general question is, and it's not what you're doing today, you're here in opposition of the current model. The current model, you say, is not benefiting the customer. So I'm not, again, being flip, but I'm not interested in your savings today. What I'm interested in is if this model is wrong financially for the people, because quite frankly, if it worked and they're saving us money, I don't care whether, one company or five, if it was sincerely saving us money. But I think you're here today saying, and the bill is saying that this model is hurting the United States citizens in general, but more specifically Tennesseans. This is hurting Tennesseans. If it is hurting Tennesseans and this bill passes 3 years, what will be the savings to the people that you're saying that it hurts today?
Sounded like he's asking you to read the future tea leaves.
No,
there,
I'm
but
not.
Give it a try.
No, Mr. Chair, I'm not asking that. This bill is here for a reason. This bill is here because the current system is injurious to our citizens. And you have to be able to measure that, or you would not bring a bill here that's injurious to our citizens. Again, I'm not saying I'm for or against the bill, but if you're here because you're saying that we're being injured by this vertical integration model, the life cycle of doctor to medicine coming to your house, how would that help us in 3 years?
You recognized.
I think the problem is that in today's model, one company can control all of that. So they're controlling the drug prices. They're controlling what that drug is being paid to their pharmacy. So not only paid to the pharmacy that they own, but also their competing pharmacies. So in today's environment, those PBMs can then pay a competing, independent pharmacy a lesser amount, drive them out of business, and then really consolidate their own pharmacies for their own financial benefit. The problem is that there's no accountability or transparency to it. So when they control everything, you can't hold them accountable. And, I think that we hear all the time that healthcare costs are at an all-time high. Mentioned in the House Insurance Committee last week that 1 in 3 aren't taking their prescriptions as prescribed due to cost. I'm sure that you all have constituents that come to you and talk about healthcare costs and not being able to afford medications. I think the problem is that it's a market manipulation that's forcing those drug costs up. So I think that by leveling out that playing field, again, by creating accountability throughout the healthcare system, that drug prices will naturally go down.
Any follow-up?
No, thank you.
All right, thank you. Next up, Representative Fritz.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for coming by today. I'll just go back to Article 1, Section 22 of the Tennessee Constitution for my question. And the last 5 words are "and shall not be allowed," referring to monopolies. Constitutionally, we cannot allow monopolies in Tennessee. We break that rule, but we should not. So the research I did and was provided said that some of these PBMs that are vertically integrated, monopolized, include the 3rd, 6th, and 13th largest companies in the United States, with revenues totaling $447 trillion, $402 trillion, and $268 trillion. So my question for you is this: if those numbers are accurate, does that leverage that monopoly that they could actually drive an independent pharmacy out of business in Tennessee?
You recognized.
In today's environment, yes.
Thank you.
Any follow-up? Okay, thank you. Leader Camper, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for being here in your presentation. Did I hear you say that you have a belief that if this bill passed, it could reduce the cost
You're
of
recognized.
medicine?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, thank you.
And Representative Parkinson, did you have one more question?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. While I think that framing this from a standpoint of a monopolistic structure matters, I think the most important matter is the benefit to the consumer. And before I get into that part, I do want to say that I actually went to one of our ma and pa pharmacies in my district, and had a conversation with the owner of the pharmacy, and he was very passionate about the effect that the PBM structure that is being used and the effect that it had on them as a business and as a pharmacy. And one of the things that he pointed out was this, and I thought it was interesting. He said, I have to do business with this PBM. And I cannot, I cannot say anything publicly about how much I dislike it, because I could possibly feel the influence of what could happen in regards to, drug prices and customers and, customer traffic. And so after about, 45 minutes of listening to him, I was completely clear on where he was in that regard. The other thing too that I think is important to note is, as when you think about the fact that the patient is in this, I'm visual, so I see this tree trunk of services and limbs that are being offered, and there's a tie, if I'm not mistaken, based on what I heard in insurance, there's a tie to pharma also, where certain drugs are being, are promoted, specifically for those types of patients, and kind of keeps them in that specific space for that particular pharmaceutical company for their drugs to be promoted, versus that of, this other pharmacy that may have, a different type of drug that can fix the same problem, which may be cheaper. And I think this is important to my colleague from Knoxville.
Representative Parkinson, do you have a question?
I'll let our guest explain it, but I wanted Representative McKenzie he asked the question, how will it save citizens money, right? And if there's a cheaper drug that is available, for that citizen at another pharmacy, then it kind of, I'll let you explain it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Please, you're recognized.
Yeah, absolutely. The big PBMs have a lot of different revenue streams. So they filter prescriptions to their own pharmacies. They make money from clinical advocacy programs. They make money on spread pricing. So they pay the pharmacy one amount and they invoice the employer a higher amount. They make money off of rebate revenue. All of those all of those factors go into that price of the drug. So to your point, there may be a medication, and we see it, I saw it a few weeks ago with an oncology med, where there was a drug that was really about a $3,000 drug. The $3,000 was paid to the pharmacy, and the big PBM then charged the employer $12,000 for that medication. It shouldn't have been that expensive. There's no reason it was that expensive. It's also available as a generic medication for less than $30. And so those instances, it's a situation where, those PBMs can then act in the best interest of themselves as the PBM, but then what's in the best interest of their filling pharmacy? So if they make more money on filling a higher cost medication because of spread, rebate retention, whatnot, then they're going to incentivize those higher cost medications every time. There's no balance to it that would say there might be a lower cost medication or a therapeutic alternative that would be better in the interest of the patient.
Thank you for that explanation. Curious, I think I've seen you in the insurance committee also. I think several of us up here sit on that insurance committee. Why hasn't, with this being for all outward appearances a monopoly, why hasn't the federal government taken this up like they did back in the days of the trust busting that went on 100 years ago?
It's a great question. I think
if you don't,
I think all of the states try to piecemeal it together a little bit and figure out how to do what's in the best interest of their state. I think the problem is that there's just a lot of lobbying funds as a part of this, and that has kind of squashed a lot of the attempts to have some uniformity at the federal level.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that. Looks like we're out of questioners. We're going to go back into session. Thank you very much for coming down. And did Mr. Thompson ever show up? I guess not. All right. We're going back into session. Any closing comments, Representative Scarborough?
Yeah, please. This is about structural clarity. The entity that sets reimbursement rules also owns the pharmacy receiving those reimbursements. This is a structural conflict. The bill separates those roles prospectively. It preserves employer plans. It preserves TRICARE and veteran programs. It preserves hospital pharmacies, preserves mail order and specialty services. It provides a multi-year transition. It's narrow, it's perspective. It's enforceable through civil process and includes due process protections. This is a licensure integrity bill under Title 63. Folks, this is simply a pharmacy licensure bill, and I ask for your support.
Thank you for that. Members, any closing questions for our sponsor? Representative Parkinson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to clarify something also. Does the PBM have to divest themselves of their pharmacies or can they divest the PBM?
You recognize?
What are the choices under this legislation?
Well, you said it correctly. It's their choice, whatever they choose to do. They have to January 1 of 2028 to divest. If in fact they do have a actual proposal they're working on, there's a 6-month extension after that.
Last one, please.
Thank you. Yes, sir. And so the 6-month extension, because it's my first time hearing that, could go past the 2028 deadline. Okay, thank you.
Leader Camper, recognized.
That may have answered my question. What I was thinking about is this bill is going to pass. It's going to have an impact on the industry. And you have all of these companies who have invested money, who have built structures, have, did a lot of work for the model that they are legally authorized to do. And so now we're gonna, if this bill should pass, have an impact on that. It is going to affect revenue streams from whichever number of streams you feel that they have, but they've made strategic decisions based on that revenue coming in. So they've made all kind of investment, they've built all kind of structure, they got all these plans that are now going to be impacted by this bill. Have you thought about the impact that it's going to have and what, how do we help them with, should this bill pass? Transition all of the upfront investment they've made for their business structure.
Okay, you're recognized.
Again, that's their decision. What they choose to do with their assets is their decision. We're not telling them if they have to sell or a PBM or a drugstore or anything else. It's their decision.
Last one, please.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I get that. I do feel like it's going to have a huge impact because the business has made certain decisions based on, and projections and things that they plan to do based on the structure that they're operating in. And this bill is going to have a direct impact on that. And I know they can make decisions, they will, but some of those decisions might be harmful too, to our community. So that's why I was trying to get clarity. But thank you, Mr. Chairman and sponsor.
Thank you. And Representative Clemens, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think the entity from which I've heard the most has, they had about $402 billion in total revenue in fiscal year 2025. They have over 9,000 retail pharmacies. I've heard from that entity the most. And I think it's important to point out, there seems to be this threat of divestiture or closing down retail pharmacies, when in fact, I think they would probably do, given the value of these companies, what most companies do when there's a monopoly or even a legal finding that there is a monopoly, which is just have two separate companies, in which case nobody loses their job and no retail pharmacies necessarily shut down. You just have two separate companies and they operate separately. With a wall between them and there's no conflict of interest. That resolves the issue. And that's what's most commonly done for entities that don't want to sell off their assets and lay off a bunch of people and so forth. So I think that's another option in addition to the divestiture, which was previously mentioned. So I think there's multiple ways here that people don't lose their jobs, people don't lose access to their pharmacy, people who rely on a certain entity for their Medicare Part D discounts and so forth. I think there is a safe alternative here that will probably be made by this entity, given the value of their multiple entities. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Seeing no further questions, members, it looks like we are ready to vote. Mr. Clerk, if you would open the board. Members, place your votes. And has everyone voted? Anyone want to change a vote? All right, Mr. Clerk, take the vote, please.
Mr. Chairman, you have 11 ayes, 0 nays, and 1 present not voting.
Thank you for that. Representative Scarborough, you're off Finance, Ways and Means.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, members.
Representative Shaw, my greatest apologies. We are over the 12 o'clock time limit. My apologies. The remainder of the calendar will be rolled 1 week. And with that, we are adjourned.